So I've just installed my server, my Ubuntu 20.04 server, and now before I get very far into doing some configuration with it, I want to adjust this font size. And you'll notice this is in a Hyper-V VM, but you'll notice this is a very, very small font size. And while sitting at my computer and looking at it, it's manageable. I can deal with it. Um, some people might need a slightly different font size, maybe something a little bit more readable. And in recording videos, I definitely want something a little bit larger. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I'm in the right system. So I'm going to log in my username and password. Okay, now I'm into my system. Now, before I go any farther, I want to adjust this font and make it a little bit legible. So here's my command, sudo, which is short for switch user do. Basically, it allows me to run a privileged command as a non-privileged user. Now, when I set up this system, I created one user, and that user has root permissions. But like Windows, it runs with a lower level of permissions until I tell it, hey, I want to use elevated permissions for this. So that's what my sudo command does. It says I want to run this following command with elevated permissions. And my command is this, dpkg, or pkg, there we go, Debian package, and dash reconfigure. And what I want to reconfigure is my console setup. And I'm going to hit enter. Now, just like Windows, when I go to run something that's elevated permissions, I need to authorize it. So I told it I wanted to, but then it prompts me here for my sudo password. So I'm going to put in my regular password again, because my regular password does have those permissions, or my regular account does. Type that correctly. There we go. And this brings up my package reconfiguration. So my encoding, I want to go ahead and use the same thing, UTF-8. So I'm just going to hit enter there. Now, I want to do for my character set, I want to use Latin 1 and Latin 5. And you'll notice there are a bunch of different character sets that I can use here. But, Western European, yep, that's me. So I'm going to hit that. And then this gives me the appearance of the screen. So here's where I get to choose the font that I want. So I can use a fixed font, a Terminus font, Terminus bold font, standard VGA. I want to use Terminus. Now, different fonts have different sizes that are supported. So I'm going to use my Terminus font, and here you see our 8 by 16. Now this is the standard size for your console screen. So I want to go ahead and bump this up. Let's do 12 by 24. And you'll notice I can only do that if I have the frame buffer enabled. So I'm going to hit enter on that size, and you'll see it resizes for me. And then it finishes doing its configuration. And that's what we see going on down here. And once it finishes the configuration, which will take it a second here, that should now be my permanent font size. And so that's just going to make it easier for me to read. Hey, there we go. It finally finished. That'll make it easier for me to read everything that I'm working on. Now, the other thing that, and this is a me thing, so I don't like looking at the bottom of the screen. So I will tend to clear my screen so that I can focus on what's on the top of it. So I've adjusted my font size, made it a little bit easier to read, cleared the screen. Now I'm ready to get to work. But before we really dive into the content, I wanted to show you how you can do that so you can adjust that font size and hopefully make it a little bit easier for you to work with.